Welcome back to the Phoenix Project. I'm Dr. Mohamed Farid, and today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating and complex patterns in the international relations, the cycle of the world order. Let me ask you a question. Is the international world order also a cycle? Let's find out. In geopolitics, we recognize three main types of international systems. 1. Unipolarity. 2. Bipolarity. 3. Multipolarity. And here is a quick definition for each. Unipolarity, when one state dominates the majority of geopolitical power, facing no true competitors. But bipolarity, when two states hold the majority of power, usually through regional control and often compete. And finally, the multipolarity system. It's when three or more states share major geopolitical influence. There is ongoing debate on which system is best. And interestingly, people with similar political views often completely disagree on this. The main debate usually happens between supporters of unipolarity and multipolarity, with few truly backing bipolarity. Why? Let's explore that. Let's talk about the pros and cons of each system, and let's start with the multipolarity system. The pros are diplomacy becomes essential and temporary cooperation between regions, decentralized world yet centralized regional powers, less chance of one world government, and the next point is encourages small or national businesses, then also moderate societal advancements. But the cons of that system are 1. Instability due to shifting alliances, 2. Risk of major global conflicts as powers compete. Now, unipolarity. The pros are 1. A period of global stability. 2. Most conflicts are minor. 3. Sanctions and diplomacy are more effective. 4. Great for international business. And the cons of that system are, if the hegemon is flawed, it can drag the world into clown world condition. 2. Hegemon may act irrationally when threatened. 3. Societal progress slows down. No competition means no innovation pressure. And lastly, the bipolar. And the pros are 1. Regional stability. 2. Fierce competition drives innovation. 3. Strong for regional economies. And the cons are number 1. The constant global struggle. 2. Frequent conflicts, hot wars, cold wars, economic and cultural. Number 3, states are forced to take sides or get infiltrated. Let's now look at the two major theories shaping the whole conversation. 1. Balance of power theory. This theory suggests that no single state should dominate. If one state grows too strong, others will form alliances to resist. States choose between balancing, which is uniting against a threat, or bandwagoning, which is joining the stronger power, or strategies like buck passing and chain ganging. This theory assumes that stability comes from equilibrium, not domination. Theory number 2 is hegemonic stability theory. This one argues the opposite. It says the world is more stable when there is one dominant hegemon. For example, Pax Britannica, Pax Americana. These periods, according to this theory, provided international order and public goods because the hegemon was strong enough to enforce peace and provide leadership. But here is the problem. It assumes that hegemon will always act selflessly and fairly. And if you have watched United States foreign policy for the past few decades, you know how shaky that assumption can be. My view? Personally, I lean toward multipolarity and the balance of power theory. Why? Because I believe in centralized regions within a decentralized global system, kind of like communitarianism on a world scale. But I'm not blind to multipolarity's weaknesses, particularly its inability to maintain equilibrium over time. Likewise, unipolarity assumes the hegemon will always act in the world's best interest, which we know doesn't hold. And bipolarity? It's a dangerous balancing act that always ends in one side winning, pushing us back to unipolarity. Here's the core of my theory. The international world order is a cycle, just like the cycles we see in states and civilizations. Now let's trace it. Multipolarity eventually gives way to bipolar competition, which results in a unipolar victory that eventually collapses into multipolarity again. But wait, there is an exception. The rule by one exception. Just like political philosophy, the rule by one, absolute centralization breaks the linear cycle. Why? Because the central ruler can choose to break into smaller structure or decentralize the entire system. In political history, rule by one could jump to rule by few or rule by many, unlike the usual downward spiral from democracy to oligarchy to tyranny. World order work the same way. Unipolarity can break into either bipolarity or multipolarity. But multipolarity always becomes bipolar, and bipolarity always becomes unipolar. And here is some historical examples. Let's take a quick journey through history. Pre-World War II, multipolar world. Post-World War II, bipolar world, United States versus USSR. And post-Cold War, unipolar world, which is Pax Americana. Now we are sliding back toward bipolarity or multipolarity, depending on how BRICS and the United States decline unfold. And this isn't the only example. Pax Britannica, pre-Napoleonic, Europe multipolar, France versus Britain, bipolar, British dominance after 1815, unipolar, then return to the multipolarity, World War I, World War II, which is Pax Americana, Pax Romana, followed the same structure. Rome consolidated power, beat rivals, unipolarity. Even terms like Pax Hispanica, Pax Mongolica, and others show us that the pattern held regionally even when there was no single global stage yet. What was once regional is now global. Earlier civilizations only controlled what they could reach. Today, we live in a fully connected world, and the cycle of world order has expanded to fit it. We even saw this during the Islamic versus Christendom eras, which followed their own multipolar bipolar transition. So, if this theory is right, then what's next? If the cycle holds, we are heading into a bipolar or multipolar phase. That would make sense given the visible decline of the United States' influence and the rise of alternative power blocs. But one thing is certain. The evolution of the world order is not linear. It's a cycle. Can we ever break this cycle? Can humanity transcend this eternal loop of rise, rivalry, and collapse? Maybe. But if we are honest, history says probably not. Thank you for watching this deep dive. If you found this thought-provoking, like, share, and subscribe to the Phoenix Project channel. More theories, strategies, and insights are coming soon. Until next time, I'm Dr. Mohamed Farid. Stay vigilant, stay sovereign. Bye.